What I wanted to cover off today was just some thoughts and ideas from a book called Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. And I don't know whether any of you have had the opportunity to actually take a look at this book, but it's definitely inspired reading. And all I'm going to do this morning is just really talk about three things that I think are relevant to developing the prosperity mindset that we need. We often talk about developing that mindset of success, the millionaire mindset that all top producers in this business, whether it be direct sales or multi-level marketing, need. What we need to do in terms of the development of that millionaire mindset is just have a deeper understanding of actually what these words mean: prosperity, affluence, and security. Because I'm pretty sure all of us are motivated to do things to put in place that sense of security that we all want, knowing that we've, secured our home and we've paid it off, that we can provide for our children, that we can have the lifestyle that we want in future years, and that we can create a legacy and leave that legacy to future generations, and in the process give back. So I think it's important that we have a greater understanding of what these three words are, because I think so many people get caught up in the materialistic value or perceived value of prosperity and affluence. So Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth is a really, really, really cool book. It's a book that everyone should read. I'm going to start off with a quote. "The goal should not be to make money or acquire things, but to achieve the consciousness through which the substance will flow forth when and as you need it." So the real question is here, are you committed to discovering who you are and how you can give yourself most fully to the world? The next big idea here is, and how you can consciously circulate wealth in the world as you give your gifts and support others and support yourself. So if you think about all of the content that we've covered to date on this call, a couple of my key underlying themes are: make sure that you actually start to do the things that bring you most joy by accessing your talents, gifts, strengths, virtues, and values. So the question is, how many of us are actually living optimally, living the greatest expression of our lives? And then the second biggest idea that I can tie this back to, which is something that I absolutely believe to my core, and that is servant leadership. We're all here to serve, and the greatest expression that you can experience on a day-to-day basis is actually that servanthood, assisting someone else along their life journey. And that is the essence of this business vehicle. So for those of you that are joining us for the very first time on this call, and you're new potentially to this business model or this environment and this way of thinking, the quicker that you can get your head around that this business is about helping others succeed, and therefore in the process leveraging and untapping the full potential of the business model, the compensation structure, by doing so, then the faster you're going to actually achieve the financial results that you're looking for. Because I like to say, the moment that you come into this business, it's no longer about you. In the process leading up to it, as you're doing all of your due diligence and as you're going about checking off all of the boxes to make sure that you're making that right decision to get involved with this type of business model, with this type of income engine, and with this specific company or whatever company you're representing, then the moment you check all of those boxes off and you make that commitment to go forward, it's actually no longer about you. You need to leave your ego and your first thoughts about self-serving at the door and start to actually work out how you can put in place systems and procedures and processes and develop the attitudes and behaviour of someone that is a servant leader and help everyone else in the process. The best way that I can serve people in my organisation is if they take personal responsibility and then also become the leader that they need to become by getting on the front foot and communicating upwards what their thoughts and actions are, what their thinkings and feelings are, what their highs and lows are. Because if you have a huge organisation, it's physically impossible to speak to everyone on a one-on-one basis. But it's not impossible for everyone to pick up the phone and contact their mentor, or to send an email and contact their mentor, or to send an SMS. So understand the best way that we can all serve each other in this community is for everyone to exercise personal leadership and communicate upwards. And then for the person that's being communicated to actually make sure that they then serve the community downstream. That is paying it forward. And that's how the communication needs to work in this business. Let's move on to another couple of big ideas here from this book. Prosperity. Now, this is really, really cool. Prosperity comes from the Latin root, which literally translates according to hope, or to go forward hopefully. Okay, because how many people actually think prosperity conjures up this image of acquiring things? So listen to this. Thus, it is not so much a condition in life as it is an attitude towards life. So as Butterworth advises, prosperity is not so much about a condition we experience, but the attitude with which we live our lives. Attitude, interesting, because we know that it's your attitudes and your habits that dictate the things that you do. And the things that you do dictate the results that you get in your life. And we know that habits and attitudes are influenced by primarily one thing and one thing only, and that's your view of your self-image. So it comes down to how you've defined yourself, which is a sort of almost a circular argument, because the things that you do based on your habits and attitudes determine the results that you get, and it's how you think about the results that you get that determines the attitudes that you take along with you in that process. It's a very tight circle. To break the pattern that you have in place at the moment, it always has to start out with a redefinition of your self-image. It has to start out with you actually starting to see yourself as the person that you want to become, and therefore developing the habits and attitudes of that person ahead of time and expressing those on a day-to-day basis through what you do. And underlying that, therefore, is the necessity to actually go forward, hopefully, with a prosperous attitude around all things. So again, I can tie this back really easily to the concept that we talked about the other day with faith, hope, and charity. So we're talking about faith, hope, and love now. That tight circle of, I think, fundamental virtues that underpin courage, which all ties back to the hallmarks of someone that actually can live in this state of servanthood. Right and wrong leadership starts with you, and it always starts and ends with your habit and attitude. So the question is, what is the image that you have of yourself at the moment? Is it one that's just conveying and expressing every single day that of a person that's living in this state of pure prosperity? Let's have a look at the word affluence now for a moment.
That's all we've got time for on part 1 of Spiritual Economics. I'll see you back here on the next video for part 2.